Shadowguard has over 600 members, but beyond the 7 Shades and a few exceptions like Victoria and Rose, we really don't get to see much of the other members, especially the name numbers. We have Lambda and Nu who we see here and there, but the others are left in the background. Hell, some of them don't even get any airtime. And despite being some of Shadowguard's more important members, we barely know anything about them. Some are former soldiers, and some have had a pretty messed up journey getting to where they are now. Yet we don't get to see it. So I figured, kinda like my last video, that I'd go through the name numbers of Shadow Garden and see who they actually are and what led them to Shadow Garden in the first place. Oh yeah, if you like these videos, consider subscribing. It helps out a ton. Okay, so before I actually get into who the name numbers are, I should probably establish their place in Shadow Garden. In the anime, Shadow Garden has about 666 members and counting, with their newest member being Rose. At the top of these members are the 7 Shades, who all control a part of the organization, as I mentioned in my last video. Every member who joined after the first 7 was given a number ID based on the order of them joining. Now, the exceptionally skilled members are given a Greek letter name in recognition of their talents. They typically act as high-ranking subordinates to one of the 7 shadows, filling in gaps where it might be needed. Oh yeah, normal numbers can challenge each other to earn a higher rank and to hopefully be given a name. Now, there's about 8 named numbers that we know of, them being Lambda, Nu, Chi, and Omega, who we actively see in the anime. But then there's 4 more that are only mentioned in the game and some of the light novel, them being Iota, Sigma, Pi, and Mu. So yeah, let's go over each one. First up, we have number 11, Lambda, Shadowguard's drill instructor in Alexandria. Before joining Shadowguard, she was a soldier of the Velgotan Empire, a career that lost her an eye, hence the eye patch. Now, her life fell apart when she started showing signs of possession. Soon after, the cult captured her, but Shadowguard was able to rescue her and had Epsilon cure her. Being grateful for being saved, she swears loyalty to Shadow, becoming number 11, Lambda. Now, being ex-military from a nation like Velgata made her a pretty obvious pick to run training, whipping complete novices into fighting shape. She's also one of the older members of Shadowguard, being age 23, which comes with a few extra roles. She sometimes acts as Alpha's strategic advisor and even helped Ada construct Alexandria's defenses using her military background. Now, being older than the other members makes her pretty protective of them. Beneath her tough exterior, she genuinely cares about the younger recruits. Her harsh training is only meant to make sure that none of them die out in the field. And that brings us to our next number, number 13, Nu, Gamma's personal assistant and a master of disguises. Before joining up though, she used to be known as Nicoletta Marquez. A wealthy noble in Midgar arranged to marry this knight we kept seeing in Season 1, named Marco Granger. Now, after getting possessed, she was disowned and sold off to the cult for experiments. That's where Shadowguard came in to rescue her. After being cured, she takes on a whole new identity in the Shadowguard, later being promoted to Nu. That makes her the first human member of Shadowguard. Possession rarely affects humans because of their shorter lifespans, so Nu just happened to be incredibly unlucky being possessed. Anyway, she's normally pretty calm and polite, but underneath all that, she's low-key crazy. She has no problem torturing enemies, ripping off males, and skinning people, all while having a big old smile on her face. I guess you could call her a yandere with the whole devotion to Shadow or whatever. Moving on, we have number 22, Kai, Epsilon's subordinate in infiltration and reconnaissance, working alongside her partner Omega. Before getting possessed, she was known as Karen von Herzog, head of a noble family in the Velgata Empire, and a high-ranking member of the cult itself, born into it since her family was directly affiliated with them, though she grew up believing that she was only serving the Empire. Not only was she a first child of the cult, she was also a member of Velgata's 7 Blades, with the nickname Shooting Star, right alongside Anne Rose. But after getting possessed, the cult she'd served her whole life turned on her, slaughtered her whole family for resisting, and then left her on the run. She eventually ran into Shadow Garden and was cured. After learning about how her family was manipulated and the true nature of the cult, she broke down. To leave her past behind and hopefully redeem her sins, she turned over critical intel on the cult's internal structure, and then became a full-fledged member of Shadowguard. Anyway, moving past all that dark lore, she has crippling social anxiety and stutters like crazy around new people, constantly getting teased by her duo, Omega. Okay, that brings us to number 24, Omega. Her role is pretty much the same as Kai's, stealth and reconnaissance, working directly under Epsilon. Before getting possessed, she was also in Velgata's military, working alongside Lambda. After getting possessed though, she ended up wandering out in the streets until she was found and cured by Shadowguard. She joined up a short while after Kai, who were both promoted from the hundreds all the way down to double digits together. I'm pretty sure Kai was, I think, number 111 and went to 22, while Omega was number 122 and got promoted to 24. Now, being two members who were exceptionally strong and were promoted together, the two slowly built chemistry and were paired up as a two-man cell, which is pretty uncommon for Shadow Garden, with them typically having three-person teams. Now, despite having a rough time being possessed like everyone else, she's pretty laid back and playful, constantly teasing Lambda for being stuck up or Kai for being antisocial. She does genuinely care about her fellow members though, promising to help Kai find atonement for her past sins. Okay, so we've covered the four you probably recognize, but Shadow Garden gets a lot more obscure from here, because the last four name numbers don't even make an appearance in the anime. So I'm going solely off game content and some light novel stuff. Okay, first up on our obscure name numbers, we have number 9, Iota, a rabid beastkin, her real name being Novem Silva. Now, based on her absolutely wild in-game model, it's pretty obvious she's a Gyaru-type character, which is a very unique archetype in the garden. Anyway, before she ever joined Shadow Garden, she was out camping on the Kagano estate until Sid found her. He didn't really cure her possession, but rather just handed her off to the girls and let them handle it. They then cure her and she becomes number 9 on the roster, which is surprisingly early on. After that, she becomes one of Gamma's subordinates, working under Mitsugoshi. Her looks and personality were put to use as Mitsugoshi's PR rep, so she's basically the Garden's personal influencer. And now, as you'd expect from her Gyaru-type appearance, she's pretty friendly and playful, constantly teasing other members like Sigma and even Gamma. Her carefree attitude means that she rarely upholds Shadow Garden's militaristic chain of command, but Alpha finds her cheerful energy endearing enough to let it slide. Speaking of teasing other members, we have number 18, Sigma. She's also a dark elf like Lambda and Omega, but what sets her apart is that she's a freaking ninja. Anyway, moving on to her backstory, she's from this land called Wakoku. I pray I said that shit right. Anyway, it's a small region near Midgar, where she trained as a ninja until she got possessed. After that, the usual chain of events plays out. She's outcasted, the cult kidnaps her, and then eventually she's rescued and cured by Epsilon. Now, her stealth skills as a ninja made her a pretty natural fit as Beta subordinate, handling intel gathering and infiltration. Pretty much what we know Beta for. Her stealth also low-key sets her apart from the others. Being a ninja, which is pretty unheard of in this world, means that even the cult has a hard time tracking her presence. Personality-wise, Sigma definitely lives up to the name, being quiet and stoic. But underneath all that tough exterior, she's actually a big fan of Natsume Kafka's novels and loves nerding out over them. Anyway, Sigma specializes in staying hidden, while our next number is good at sniffing shit out. Next up, we have number 16, Pi, the husky and therianthrope who started out as number 81, but was later promoted to number 16, where she was later named. Now, she works as Delta's subordinate, the first member of Delta's pack, and just like Delta, she's pretty slow. Hell, she might even be slower, but her therianthrope senses more than make up for it. Delta herself, of all people, admits that Pi's scent tracking is superior to even her own, which makes her a go-to option for whenever something needs tracking. She's also bought into Delta's whole ambition of making Shadow the head of the ultimate clan to achieve world domination or something. Anyway, despite her being useful with her scent tracking, her slowness even compared to Delta causes her to mess up simple-ass instructions if they aren't combat related. On top of that, she has this inferiority complex where she often spirals into mental tangents, panicking that the other members might look down on her. Honestly, they probably might, because she is actually that slow, but I guess that's besides the point. Now we have our final number, number 12, Mu. She was referred to as Dr. Medi and worked under the ruler of the Emirate of Muspel, Sinmara, but that's not super important right now. Now she's pretty unique in the way she handled possession. Being a doctor, she found a way to slow down the symptoms of possession to the point where they were almost undetectable. Now at the time, she wasn't the only one possessed. She had two other girls with her named Nami and Maggie. She treated them as best as she could, but she couldn't really find a cure, which is eventually what led her to Shadow Garden. She took those two girls with her, later becoming 664 and 665, with her being named number 12. After joining, her focus shifted to understanding the power of the shadows itself. She was driven by this obsessive scientific curiosity, dead set on understanding demon possession from top to bottom, and hopefully weaponizing it. As for her role in the garden, she serves as the main medical expert, filling a gap that Shadow Garden was severely lacking in before. She's also the Midgar Academy's doctor, which makes her a pretty valuable source of intel on top of her medical role. Now on the surface, Mu is polite, exceptionally smart, and keeps an impeccable bedside manner, but underneath that nurse-like demeanor, she's cold and calculating, and tends to keep her distance from the rest of the garden. Now there are theories of people saying that she might be affiliated with Zeta's faction, but I'm not really sure. So even with all four of them barely getting any real presence outside of the games and the light novels, they're proof that Shadowguard's roster runs way deeper than the Seven Shades. And all of these characters somewhat reflect the Seven Shadows in a way. They all have a role that sometimes even the Seven Shades can't always cover, making them pretty valuable to the Garden as a whole. I made this with a similar mindset to my last, where all these characters are fleshed out, but the show rarely utilizes them. All their dynamics are pretty similar to the Seven Shadows of being good friends and colleagues, all working towards the same objective of fighting the cult.